take or steal Shaktipat. I don't know if you meant that literally or metaphorically, but however you meant it, can you expound on it, please?
Well, it was spoken back then because the moment required that. And I'm getting so many questions that I'm thinking maybe we should hide that video. Because it's kind of like a from immersion to immersion. What did I mean by that? Well, if you watch the video, listen to it, there was also analogy and a story given, right? The story of Kabir. Did I speak there? Yeah. So it was to show that it works in mysterious ways. It works against odds. It works not as what we think of it. So that's why I said it's not given, it's stolen, and it was a funny story accompanied because I think I mentioned that in the video. You know, we were on the road, busy, we were in California, and we had this apartment, house actually, nice house. And I had my office at the kind of a mezzanine, and Amrita was downstairs there doing some work on the computer. I'm there, and she just shouted at me like, you know, Igor, someone's just asking here on the email if you give Shaktipat at the immersions. Well, to me, I was so busy that I couldn't really like drop it and just, you know, so I just shouted back, just tell them Shaktipat is never given, it's always stolen. You know, so, and it kind of entered from there, you know, and now has moment of its own and kind of has a story of its own. But we have to, you know, like this is, of course, it's like watch out what you say, you know. It comes back to you. But yes, I meant that as an example of incomprehensible other ways of grace. Let's put it this way. And it was, in addition, given the emphasis to the so-called receiver, because it is at the strength of the one who attracts it. Nothing is more powerful if we are to go by, if we are to look at the pantheon of tantric goddesses. They all exhibit and exercise certain powers, and they have their domains. But some are literally the movers and shakers of this and all other worlds. And Kali is such. Kali represents electromagnetism. Literally, the electromagnetism, as we speak of, is an expressive potentiality of the Kali force, of the force of Kali. Anything that falls either under the attraction or, what's the opposite of that? Yes, repulsion, is the domain of that Shakti, is the domain of Kali. And we know that these two forces are always at work. Always at work. Magnetic force and a propelling force. Magnetic and propelling. The power of attraction, it's the magnetic force. And the power of repulsion, it's the propelling force. Everything, down to the smallest, charged with that force represented by these two forces. It's the force of Kali, because the Kali is space-time. So it is spoken from that perspective of what we attract. You see? What we attract. And on that account of attraction, we can attract anything. And of course, that is that spiritual force can be also attracted, just as the story with Kabir exemplifies. The story with Kabir exemplifies that force of attraction on the part of the one who was old, too eager, and would not take no for answer. Whatever the internal dynamics there were, we don't know, because Kabir is a classical, canonical figure. Kabir, many bhajans, many ragas that today exist within the scope of classical Indian music were composed by beings like Kabir. You see? He's a great poet of his time. But as some of you have heard, if you watched that video, if you have heard that name, Kabir was born in a Muslim household, but he was attracted to a Hindu guru. And despite the fact that Hindu guru rejected him repeatedly, he would not take no for answer and keep persisting. And in the end, through that kind of accident versus synchronicity, the act of initiation took place. You see? It's just to exemplify something, you see, to convey something. So that we don't think about it, in purely linear terms. That's all. That's what I really meant in that, in the exchanges that we put out in that video. Anything else you want to add to that? Is that something that, is that clear enough? Is that...
Yeah, I think so. What I'm getting at is just be receptive to whatever comes your way. And like the story in Kabir, he, what the guru cursed, I think, and he used that. So just sort of receive and whatever I can use to expand myself, just do that.
The answer is yes, if you can do it. The answer is yes, if you can do it. The answer would not be no, but if that is within your capacity, if you can do it. Because this is also related to what we just spoke now. It related directly and squarely to experience, any experience. Any experience can teach us, right? If we are open to that. Or the experience become an obstacle to learn. And there are plenty of examples when we blame any experience for being something that prevents us from learning. So yes, the answer is yes. It's receptiveness. It's the very, very, very feminine quality, receptiveness. If not for receptiveness, there will be no life as such. There will be no life.